right after I got out of the Marines doing music all the time that I like kind of made my acting style based around reading music. So when I would read a script, as I was reading a piece of music. So I'd mark it up, like crescendo, decrescendo. Okay, go soft here, do this there. And I'd mark that up on my script. And that's kind of what became my style.
How do you still keep moving forward?
Become an editor.
Words Matter with John Maurice. Hey everybody, thank you for joining in to Words Matter. I'm your host, John Maurice, and today is going to be a great show because we are already laughing. Hopefully we'll show some of the outtakes afterwards. Today I'm with an editor who's been in the entertainment industry producing and editing on TV shows like Ridiculous and A Shot with, I think, Tequila or something like that. I really want to see that show. But let's get to it, Mr. Justin Sutton. I called him Jason earlier, forgot it's Justin. Mr. Justin Sutton, how are you, sir?
Doing good?
Good. Thank you for doing Words Matter.
Yeah, thanks. It's very nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. And you called me, what was my name again?
Joe. Joe something.
Yeah, Joe.
Joe Mama.
Yeah, Joe Mama. I like that. Oh, he called Joe Mama from his plate.
Our dad used to do that call when he was a truck driver, call and answer the phone like, hello. It's like, is Joe there?
It's like, Joe who?
Joe who? Joe Mama. It's like, oh, it's my dad.
That's hilarious. So you have so many titles, man, so many things that I want to talk to you about that's going through my brain. I got to kind of pick it up like the Minority Report. But how did you, I don't want to just even go to the standard questions everybody else. How did you get started and all that stuff, even though that stuff is intriguing. But so we're going to bounce a little bit back and forth with things. I love some of your titles. The way I want to start is, who are you? Because in order to know, before we go back and go forward, you got to know who are you?
I don't know.
Let us know, Joe Maurice.
Yeah, Joe Maurice. Yeah, that's the voices from behind.
I'm gonna write Justin on something for you.
So how did you get started in editing and all of these things that I know people are interested in?
Oh, well, getting into post-production was interesting. I don't know. I moved to Los Angeles back in 2001 to be an actor and, auditioned for some things, but never really got much of anything, just some like a few stage things here and there. And then I was in the Marines and I had done the GI Bill. So I went back to school to basically kind of live, because with the GI Bill, they pay you to go to school. And sometimes it's depending on where you live and the cost of living. Like it was basically like I was going to Los Angeles City College, and because I lived there long enough to be a local, I had smaller tuition. So more of the money that I was getting from the GI Bill was basically used to live. And then I would just have to work a part-time job while I went to school as opposed to working a full-time job. So.
Oh, okay. So that's how it works. I've always heard of the GI Bill, but never really understood. And I thought it was just they pay for the school, but that's a very
no, you have to pay for it all yourself, and they pay you back. So, yeah, it's like on a monthly basis. You have to kind of set it up and everything like that, but you do have to front some of the money. Like,
I guess it's that thing where if you are invested in it, then you will pay attention more because you have skin in the game instead of, they're paying for it and you just still go and party and blow it off, and because it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. I was doing acting in like Amarillo, Texas, and going to school, but then I didn't finish school there. I was going to Amarillo College, and then I ended up doing pretty good in acting there. I thought I was getting really good reactions out of people and stuff like that. But
what kind of stuff were you doing? Were you acting? Were you doing plays? Were you doing commercials?
Plays. Yeah,
okay.
Just plays for the most part. I auditioned for some other stuff, but didn't get it. So I did like about 7 or 8 plays in about a year and a half after I got out of the Marines. And
wow. And then you moved to LA.
No, then I moved to Oregon.
Okay. How was that?
My buddy lived up there, and So I moved up there to do music stuff, like be in a band, but it didn't come together. So
were you rehearsing or were you actually in a band and performing live? Did you ever get to that point?
No, I did fill in for the lead singer one night up in Washington. They had a gig and the lead singer couldn't be there till the second night. So I filled in that night as a lead singer. And
how was that? Fun. What kind of music?
It was like funk. So like some Stevie Wonder and
really?
Yeah, stuff like that.
I know you got to hit something from Stevie for me real quick. You doing funk? I thought you was going to be like rock or like pop or
no.
Funk.
It's like the band was called like The Feel. It was like basically like I don't know, like a funk band. Like we played stuff like that, and for the most part, I was just kind of like help them. I was just like a non-paid roadie most of the time. I would help them lug around equipment and help them with sound checks and stuff like that. And then
was music your passion?
Yeah, like music and acting have always been my two passions. Like when I was in the Marines, I was actually in the Marine band. I played the tuba at like 2nd Marine Division band in North Carolina for 4 years during my service.
Where do the Army band? I've heard of it, but
yeah.
Where do they perform? Where do you guys go? How do you practice?
Well, it's like a job. You had to enlist in the Marine Corps, and then they give you an audition if you want to do that. And then they bring someone out and they listen to you play, and then they decide based on that if you're good enough.
Wow.
And so they sent out this guy from Louisiana up to Texas, and I played for him, and he signed me up and went to boot camp, went to combat training, and then after that went to music school for 6 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I would have known that, I would have gone into the Army too. But I was during the Gulf War when it was, I was like, I'm not going in there right now.
That's when that was nice. I went in 1994. So
I would have been able to play no instruments. Now I'd have been like, hey, John, get your ass back to the front line. I'd have been, I'd have been trying to play.
That's what they threatened us with the whole time at boot camp. They're like, you're not going to school. You're going straight to Iraq.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you go?
No.
Okay. Because you stayed in the band?
No, because Bill Clinton was the president. And we didn't have any real wars with anybody, just behind the scenes stuff.
But the Gulf War, that was Clinton, right?
No, Bush Senior brought all the troops home before.
Oh, that's right. It was Bush.
He brought all the troops home to win the election, and then he didn't. So,
and that's when Clinton. That was 92.
Yeah.
And so after that, the war was still going on, wasn't it, or no?
Nope. He brought everyone back like 90, 92, right before the election, I think.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That was when I graduated. I thought I was going to go in. My cousin went in, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So you started music there and you won the audition and you got it in. Then you went to music school.
Mm-hmm.
After that, what happened?
Surprisingly passed music school, which they told me I wouldn't.
They told you wouldn't.
Yeah.
What happened to being wind beneath your wings, Like, you can do it.
Just the genetics of being a brass player. Like, sometimes the genetics don't mix well. So you have to have an embouchure and things like that. And
that's something that you can learn, right? It's not something you're born with.
Well, it's a little bit of both. Some of it is genetics. So I couldn't, like, anytime I played, it sounded good to me, but everyone told me I sounded terrible.
Really?
And, yeah.
I'm not laughing at you,
no,
but it's like some people in the car or they're in the shower, they sing it and like, I nailed it.
Yeah.
Like they think they're doing Mariah Carey's note and it's not.
Well, it sounded good to me, but they told me it sounded bad. Like, and I'm like, but then at the same time, they wanted me to play like blatty, loud sounds that I didn't like. So,
but you would think that with that, if you hitting the key, it's about putting your lips the right way, pushing, enough air through, for a certain amount of time to get the key in the notes. So were you not on key with it, or?
No, it was like I started off playing the violin when I was like in 4th grade. And then we changed schools in 5th grade to a different school system, and they didn't have strings there. So I was like in a music class for a semester, and then I went to junior high and they didn't have strings there. So I picked the trumpet, and I played the trumpet for 3 years. And I went from being not good to really good to back bad. Like I kind of plateaued, and I couldn't get higher on it. So then the band director switched me to tuba, which was a bigger mouthpiece, and I made good grades, and all the tuba players would always fail their classes and not be able to do the marching band stuff. So they moved me to tuba for them.
Okay.
And the same thing happened because it's a brass instrument that I got really good, plateaued, and couldn't really move forward from there.
Okay.
And then I'm not the type of person that gets motivated by being told I suck every day. Is not going to make me
you're like,
try to. Yeah,
But,
I'm like, okay, sure.
But Justin
Whatever.
has some really great, funny stories of how he would mess with people, and when he was doing band, you got to tell us a story. You guys got some good.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Oh yeah, so I was just terror in the Marines. So, like, I don't know.
In the Marines. Like
I was just, I don't know. I was very, very small. Like when I graduated high school, I only weighed like 95 pounds.
Okay.
And then when I joined the Marines, I think I weighed 115. And then when I graduated boot camp, I weighed 105.
Wow.
And so I just had this like kind of chip on my shoulder type thing on getting picked on a lot when I was growing up from other people just because of my size and stuff like that. So I think part of the reason I would join the Marines as well is to
toughen up.
Yeah. And and I'm just a goofy person altogether, and my sense of humor is a little bit dark. And,
Okay. So what'd you do? What was some of the terrorists and tricks that you played on some of these Marines? Was it Marines?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Marines. Well, we did this thing where like I would check everybody in because I could get everybody checked in a few days when other people would milk it for like a week. So I took over, like I'd check people in and just a little under to where they'd get me to check everyone in. And that would like get me, like every time a new person came in, I would get out of work. So, but one of the things they'd do is have them fill out an ID10T form, which spells out idiot. So when they check in, you're like, okay, you gotta do an ID10T form, but I'm all out of them. Just take a piece of paper and write ID10T on the top and then your name, and then hand it back to me, and they write that, hand it back to you, and then I'd list all the our different bosses,
mm-hmm.
and then basically take that piece of paper to them and have them sign it.
Well, what'd they do?
Sign it and give it back to them. Like, yes, you're an idiot. Here you go. But then one of my bosses, Gary Lozier, the Master Sergeant Lozier, he was the drum major. He didn't like that I did that, so I'd be like, don't. It's like the last person you go to is the drum major. Don't go to him first. You need to go to him very, very last. So then they'd fill out the whole thing, and then they'd get to the drum major, and they get to him, and he wouldn't sign it, and he'd tell him what was up. So.
And so what would the guys do when they come back to you?
Nothing.
Would they say anything?
I don't remember anyone saying anything to me about it.
And they'd be like, okay, he got me.
Yeah.
Oh, did people talk about it or?
No, we didn't really talk about it because we didn't want people to find out.
Okay. Because then that could blow up the spot and everybody.
Exactly. But we'd also play jokes like we'd tell them that the first time we did plane trip that they'd have to ride in the belly of the plane. So they needed to bring like all their Gore-Tex and their sleeping bag and all this stuff. So like
and that wouldn't happen.
No.
Where would you take these flights to?
We've went all around the Southeast, like out of North Carolina. So we had gigs all over locally that we take buses to, and then we had a few like out of town gigs that would come up, and then we had a few that were like gigs that we had every year. Like we had a San Antonio trip every year, and then we had like a Iowa trip every year, and we had a Pennsylvania trip every year.
What were you doing with these trips? Were these band trips?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys would perform?
Yeah, we do like concerts and parades and, sometimes rock concerts. We had a rock band and I was in a Dixieland band. They played Dixieland. And then we had to do Mardi Gras in '98.
Okay, Dixieland, is that the Dolly Parton?
No. It's like, I don't know. It's more like Dixieland, man. It's like,
It's an amusement park. It's an amusement park.
no. It's just the type of music, Dixieland. I think hers is like Dolly Parton.
Oh, that's the group. Dixieland. You would cover their music.
No. It's a style of music, like a genre of music of Dixieland. So to be like,
Oh, never heard of it.
yeah, it's big in like New Orleans and in the South and stuff like that. So we had a specific band. It's just like a tuba, trumpet, sometimes a clarinet, just a drummer with a
Right.
and so yeah, it was just certain type of St. Charles plays, different type of just a style of music that we play.
Yeah, don't feel bad about that. I was thinking the same thing. I've never been to Dixieland. That sounds like a fun place.
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah,
been
once you said no, it's some music. I'm like, damn. Okay. Dum. He's stupid, everybody.
No, it's basically just like a jazz. It's like a style of jazz music. So
Okay.
it's one of those where like the music's on the page, but it's not really telling you how to play the song. It's just telling you what key you're in from measure to measure.
Okay.
So you're mostly improvising and
Dixieland.
yeah.
Okay. So now after Dixieland, the Army, what do you do after you get out? What year did you get out? Because you went in
4.
You went in 94.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you get out?
98.
Okay. You did your 4 years. You got out. Then you did the GI.
I tried to go to school in North Carolina. So I got out and I had fun for a couple of months, and then I moved back to North Carolina, and I tried to go to East Carolina University because they had a good like acting program there.
Okay.
But for tax purposes, I never claimed North Carolina as my residency state because I had Texas, which doesn't tax you. So I didn't have residency, so I'd have to wait like a year to get residency before I could get the cheaper rates to go to school there.
So in Texas, they won't tax you or what?
Yeah, Texas is a state that doesn't tax you, like Nevada. Like
no state tax
right.
or
no state tax.
Okay, gotcha.
Like Florida, Nevada, Washington, Texas. There's a couple more, but not very many.
Okay. All right. So after that, how do you get into editing and stuff? Because you went back to Texas. You were doing a lot of plays. You did 7 plays in 1 year.
Yeah, something like that.
And then you moved to LA. So the plays were.
I went to Oregon.
Oregon.
I did like two plays in Oregon.
And the live show singing Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
And then from there, and I'm coming back to that. I want you to do at least 4 bars of Stevie.
I don't know if I can still do that, but I'll try.
And with the plays and everything, like Justin was telling me about, like there was one play where you had to do like a whole bunch of accents.
Oh, that was in LA. That was probably the last play I actually did. That was.
Okay. So I'm jumping too far ahead.
No, it was like 2013, I think. And then
okay.
There was like a friend of mine was in a play and somebody dropped out, so they had auditions to replace that part. So everyone else had already been rehearsing for a month at that point. So I came in and it was for like man number 2. But it was like 12, 13, 14 different parts.
Okay.
But they were all like rednecks. They were all like country, so I had like Florida accent, a Georgia accent, a Texas accent, a Louisiana accent, and then I was playing like cops and judges and lawyers.
In the same play?
Yeah.
It was like a one-man show?
No.
I'm just messing. So actually, before we even go forward, what's the difference between the Georgia accent and the Florida accent? Because I'm born and raised Jersey Shore, but I did 10 years in Florida.
Right. I don't know. I can't really off the top of my head because it's just something that I study while I'm there because I didn't want to be the guy that went up there and did the same
Right.
bad Southern accent.
Do a Florida accent. Yes, how you doing? Do South Carolina. Yes, how you doing?
Yeah.
Do Louisiana. Yes, how you doing? You're like, what?
Yeah.
You're the same person.
Yeah. So
Got it.
it's not something that, because
How much different? I'm not going to ask you to go ahead and do it. 'Cause I know
just subtly different. Not
between Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. What has the biggest twang to it?
say Louisiana.
Louisiana. Can you do one of those? Huh?
No.
I think I've heard it's like a.
It's like you can't. It's like I want to.
Okay.
And you're like,
I'm glad you did it and not me. I was like,
Like, I don't know.
I've heard a few of
Got
those.
that
before.
Creole flavor to it.
Yeah, we went on like a swamp. We were in New Orleans and went on this like gator thing, and the guy you could not understand, but he had like a little. He was like, "Well, that's when we caught a little alligator, so we can pass them around." And my wife was like, "No, I'm not touching that alligator." And then as he was going through the boat, anyone that said like, "No, I'm not touching the alligator," he'd just throw it on him. So then she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to touch the alligator."
He was throwing it. Was the mouth taped or anything?
Nope. Mouth was not taped.
It was a baby alligator.
Yeah.
But still, you don't want a baby alligator, clutch on your finger. Yeah. It's going to be gone. Mm-hmm. Why would he do that?
I don't know.
Or he knew that he could touch the head or open
Probably.
the mouth or something like that.
Oh, you could get it back pretty quick, I'm sure. But that's what he would do. And we were at the very front of the boat, so we were going to be the last to handle it. So
Was anybody ever, or did you see the alligator ever like snap at anybody or?
not that I could see from my.
And at some point, I'm sure the alligator's like, why you keep throwing me?
Well, he only threw him once. Once he did
Right
that,
there.
then no one else like refused to touch it. It was like,
Oh, that's a forced touch.
yeah, because I don't like snakes. I don't like those type of things. I don't want to touch them.
I've seen gators too in Florida. I don't want to touch them.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to get next to them. I've seen what they can do. No, thank you. So, wow. Okay. So now, I don't even know what we was talking about, Louisiana and the accent. So you're doing the
we were
play.
talking accent.
So that was the last play that you did in LA. How did you get in touch and connect with the plays, moving from, was it Texas to LA or was it South Carolina?
I did some plays on base in North Carolina at Camp Lejeune, like with the Officers' Wives Club would have like a plays. I don't know. They would have acting thing for morale.
Right.
So I did that on the side, but it was just dumb stuff, and it was kind of the beginning of the.
It gave you the bug, and you come to LA.
No, I liked it. It was like I think the first play I auditioned for at Camp Lejeune was like Wizard of Oz, and I really wanted to be the Scarecrow, and I auditioned for that, and I thought I did pretty good. And then when the cast list came out, I wasn't in it.
Oh wow!
I was the only person in the orchestra.
That wasn't in it.
No, they didn't have an orchestra. They literally cast me as the only person in the orchestra because my day job was playing in a band, and I'm like, I don't want to play in if I could.
Yeah,
I could
I'm
not
trying to
be here.
act. Right. And so how are you going to have a one-man orchestra?
Exactly. So I'm upset about that. But it was just like, yeah, it's just everywhere I go that kind of happens to me. I don't know. It's just my luck, I guess.
It's like Rodney Dangerfield. You get no respect.
Yeah. Well, now it's like I want to do acting stuff, but no one wants to hire me for that. They just want me to do editing stuff. Someone will be like, "Oh, I got a movie. Can I audition for it?" And they're like, "No, we want you to like process the footage." I'm like, "No."
So when you want to still act, what kind of acting do you want to do? Like, what do you see? What's your dream role?
It's just comedy acting.
In what movie? What's something that you say, man, that I want to do that. I want to be in that lane, like an Adam Sandler.
Not even that. Like, I'm not that type of an actor. I'm like supporting actor type actor. That's the kind of actor I am.
But what role have you seen in a movie that it was a supporting actor? I've seen, I think it was The Truth About Cats and Dogs. And that was a really good movie. Jamie Foxx was a supporting actor in that. And he did really good. He was the best friend, but it wasn't about him. He only had a few scenes in there. Is it movies like that, or what? Like, can you give me
stuff
to
like
get
that.
an understanding of like what kind of supporting role? Because I may have a role. I may be like, hey, I got something.
It's more like I'm the type of actor that if like I'm there to like I can convey listening and reacting to the other person that makes the other person sound more believable type thing. That's the type of actor I am. I'm like, so I can constantly kind of change and adapt. Like if a line gets dropped, I can adjust and pick it up where no one knows that a line got dropped or something like that from like stage acting and things like that. But
Okay, but now if you were, and you know that you have this skill, you go to audition for a movie role or something like that that you think I would be perfect as, what would that look like? And how would you convey to a director, a casting director, man, I'm blowing up. And it's nobody but my mama. I know I told her, Mama, stop! It is my mother.
Turn off our phone.
I have it on vibrate, but Lord, mama. I feel like Tupac, dear mama.
But Justin is very right. Yeah, I mean those supporting roles. I mean, like, there's been movies I've seen where the supporting roles really like brought up the lead actor and stuff.
Like
really
what kind of movies were you seeing?
stuff like Steve Buscemi, like in, it's like certain actors
He's
that I
a
would
good
say
example.
that
Yeah.
Who is he?
Steve Buscemi.
I don't know that
He's
name.
he's usually not the star of the movie. He's like second or third person, but
Reservoir
Yeah.
Dogs. Have you seen Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah, which character?
Mr.
He was
Pink,
Mr. Pink. Mr. Pink.
the anxiety, the guy with all the anxiety.
Yeah, remember he was mad because he's the one who got the color pink. He's like,
I gotta go back
I want to
and
be
watch
Mr.
that.
Black. Why can't I be Mr. Black? No, you're Mr. Pink.
Oh, that's funny. I gotta go back and watch that. You know they did a reboot of that too.
No,
Yeah, there's a show
Reservoir Dogs?
on
Oh.
I think it's Hulu or something like that.
no,
it's
that's
younger
a different
kids.
thing.
That's Reservation Dogs.
Reservation Dogs. Yeah,
That's the one about the Native American kids on a
Yeah.
reservation.
Okay.
in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My bad.
When
I was
first
just
saw that
watching
too,
this.
yeah.
This is a
Close. You're
yeah.
close.
I remember seeing that. Okay, got you. So I got to go back and watch Reservoir Dogs. No, didn't they rob the bank or something like that?
Jewelry store.
Something.
Jewelry
It was a
store,
big
yeah.
robbery,
Yeah.
and they was in there. I got to go back and watch it now, and see Mr. Pink, so I'll understand and know. Okay.
Trying to think of other stuff.
Do you see that type of role in movies today? Are they writing those kind of characters?
Yeah, like once it was like when I was in LA and when I was doing that stuff there, when I was actually auditioning for stuff, they weren't like looking for those type of like character actors. They were looking for like good looking people that they could make money off of or something. So every time they're like, you're really good, but you're not what we're looking for because I'm not pretty.
So what would you say to an actor or even yourself, or how do you handle it when you have this dream and you want to do that, but you're fighting against the opposition? People are saying no because you don't have the look that they want. How do you still keep moving forward? Do you do your own productions and get it out there?
Become an editor.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to dive into the editing, but I still want to know because there's only so many people that's going to make it in Hollywood and millions of people will have the dream. So it's just create content.
Well, I was just like, yeah, create content, but I was just like, I need to figure out a way to make money so I can stay here and have more opportunities. So I went back to school and I got my associate's degree in theater. And then I moved on to another school where I started on a bachelor's degree in television film production.
Okay.
Because I thought the theater degree was probably not going to do me much good, but this other thing would. And then once I went to the other school and started doing that, then I had a camera in my hand and I was able to start creating my own stuff and editing my own stuff and putting it together. But I still wasn't making money. So you got to figure out how much money you have to make to do things. So I went through a few jobs, but then right when I ran out of GI Bill money, I had to quit going to school. But right when that happened is when I got my first like TV production job.
How far was that after graduating school? Your first job?
Like a year and a half, maybe.
Okay. And then
but when I finished school, it was like, I think I finished school in May, and then it was like August I was working in TV.
What'd you do in that in-between time? You had to figure it out. How can I make money from this? Or what can I want to do my dreams, but I need a plan to make money, because that's the key, to live here, to stay here. And what was that process like, figuring it out? Because that's where a lot of people get stuck. They can't figure it out.
Well, you got to like figure out what your debt is, and how much, to pay your debt and to pay your rent and to buy groceries and stuff. And you just figure out how much money you need a week. And I figured it out to be, I need $1,000 a week to live here, to do those things. And then I just started working towards having a job that paid me $1,000 a week.
How long did it take you until you obtained a job that paid you $1,000 a week? Or did you have to do 2 and 3 jobs, or?
No, it took 2 or 3 years to get to where someone was paying me $1,000 a week, but then that take home was only actually like $600 or $700
after taxes.
Yeah, so then it was like another year to get to where I was making like $1,300 a week, and my take home was about $1,000 type thing. And then from there, just as I figure out, my life got better. I was able to pay off my debts. I was able to buy a house. I was able to,
And I gotta ask, how did you get your foot in the door with working in television production? Like getting your foot in the door. I know usually that can be a process in itself,
My sister got married, and I was working at TSA. I was doing Homeland Security, TSA, Burbank Airport, and my sister was getting married, and she told me in December, and the wedding was in July. So I asked for time off in July, and they said, you can't ask for time off in July until June. And I was like, that's stupid. If I know I need time off now, why can't I do that? And they're like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, well, I'm worried about it because you don't pay me enough to pay 4 times as much for a plane ticket that I could buy now.
Right.
They only pay you $13 an hour to put your hands on dangerous people. It's pretty stupid. It might be more now, but I don't know. It just seems dumb. And so I, like 2 weeks before my sister's wedding, I put in my notice and I quit TSA, went to my sister's wedding, and then hung out with my mom. We just kind of drove around like Texas, Colorado and stuff for like a week or two. And then when I went back to Los Angeles, I started looking for another job. And then my buddy Jake called me up and said, do you want a PA on an MTV show? And I said, yes.
And that was ridiculous.
No.
Oh, okay.
That was Shot at Love with Tila Tequila.
Tila Tequila, yeah. And so that was 2007.
Yeah.
Okay. And they did like 2 seasons or something like that, or different seasons, different shows. Was that a successful run with her? She was gorgeous. And I was like, I just saw the trailer. I was like, man, I want to check that out. It's interesting.
It was like first like bisexual dating show. So
right. She was supposed to be a lesbian. They didn't know she was bisexual.
Well, she was out as a bisexual. So there was a group of guys and a group of lesbians, girls.
Oh wow! Okay, I
competing
didn't see
against each other for her.
Okay, I saw just the women. I didn't see the guys, but okay.
Yeah, so it was nuts.
So and that was shot in a house. It's kind of like The Bachelor or something like that.
Yeah, like a mansion off like the rich part of LA. Like
did that take off or anything like that, or?
It did. It became pretty popular just because it's like one of those train wreck type things where you can't really look away.
Really?
Because I mean, they did that show, Tila Tequila. Then they did a spinoff called That's Amore with one of this Italian guy And they did his own little show. So they rented another mansion and did a show with him. And then they did a second season of Tila Tequila. And then they ended up doing a third season, but without Tila Tequila, with these Icky twins, Vicky and Ricky, the Icky twins or something like that. And then, and they did some other show called, what was it? Tool Academy. It was like bad boyfriend boot camp show. And that was the first show that I actually got credits for being an assistant editor on.
So now when you're doing this, you have these shows. Are you on site for that, or you wait until everything is shot and then you start work?
Most of those kind of both, because I was still working my way up. So I would be like, I might work casting, and then I might work production, like as a PA on set, or then I might work in post-production as a PA, driving back and forth.
How was those shows? How was it being on those shows? I know it's all scripted. Is it most fake? Is it, are they really like that? How was it being behind the scenes?
I mean, it's just, it's people that want to be in those situations are allowing themselves to be manipulated in a way. So it's kind of a give and take, because they think they're getting fame out of it, and these other people are wanting to get ratings out of it. And they got the ratings, but I don't think most of those people got the fame that they were thinking they were going to get from it.
So when something goes down and everything like that, like a bad drama moment, or like all the producers basically high-fiving each other, going, good TV.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really? Like, give them a little bit more alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, then get them a little more alcohol, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Well, it was getting really bad, and then there was one company that had like a really horrible thing happen, and it was kind of right in the heyday.
What happened?
Was like the company that did the Flavor Flav one.
Okay.
So me and my wife would watch those, like guilty pleasure, watch those, but the Flavor of Love and the I Love New York and all those shows, and then it culminated into a show called I Love Money. And they would bring in all the people off that show, and they'd compete for money because, yeah. And they did the first season of I Love Money, and then during the second season of I Love Money, they shot the whole season. But while they're editing it and putting the episodes out there, one of the contestants turned out to be a murderer.
Wow.
Kind of like a serial killer-ish type thing, where he between the two seasons, he was in Las Vegas. He met a girl. They got married. They were living in San Diego. He got sick of her. He killed her. He chopped her up, put her in a suitcase, and then dropped her in a dumpster in Orange County, and then drove up to the border, got a boat, went around the border into Canada, rented a hotel room, and then killed himself. And then so all those shows that they put millions of dollars into to produce, they couldn't air it because he was also part of another show that was going on, Megan Wants a Millionaire. So they had to cancel Megan Wants a Millionaire right in the middle of it. And they had to cancel the show that he was, I think he came in second on I Love Money or something like that. But
wow, that took a turn. I didn't expect
that. Because it's like you guys are taking crazy people and putting them on TV, and you're not actually doing the
vetting them
vetting
the background search.
I remember one thing I worked on, I won't say what it was, but I was doing casting, and I worked at TSA, so they're like, check all their bags for drugs. And I'm like, okay. So I start doing that, and then after a while, they pull me away, and they're like, hey, don't find anything.
Well, why are you going to check but don't find anything?
So they just want to like
act like they're doing the due diligence, but if they do it, it's going to loosen them up, and it's going to be for better TV. Oh, wow.
So it's like, oh, great. Okay.
Did you find anything?
Yeah.
That's why they said just...
Yeah.
Go find it.
So they just want to know who has it and who doesn't.
Right.
No, if they start acting weird, no?
They didn't. They just wanted me to, I don't know, to just go through the motions or something. Because, I mean, if you're going to ask a PA to do it and then find out later, oh, wait, that PA actually used to be a TSA agent and we asked him to look for drugs, do you think he's actually going to find them? Or just be a PA and try to be buddy with the cast and stuff like that. So it was just one of those things.
So what was it like when or have you seen someone on drugs or under the influence while doing these shows?
Oh yeah.
And what was it like? What was the experience? Were you still able to film?
Yeah, they'll still film. I wasn't filming.
Right.
It was like, yeah, they still do that. Yeah. I mean,
What was the reaction under those influences? Were they more flirty? Did anyone ever have relations? Was it fights
I
break
don't know.
out?
It was just, I didn't watch all the footage or be there. I was just mostly PA on stuff, so I didn't really know.
Okay. What kind of
going
drugs did you find?
Well, I found, I was looking and I didn't really find anything. And then they told me not to look. And then I went into one guy's room and I was like, hey, I need to search your luggage, before you go into the house and stuff. And he was like, oh, I have marijuana. And I'm like, okay, so this guy has cocaine. Because he's giving up the marijuana.
Right.
So he hands me the marijuana, and then I'm like, okay, so I found something, and you gave it up, and then then I searched the rest of his bag, but I didn't search the bag that he pulled that out of. So I knew that because he gave up a lesser drug, that he's got to have a
Is
higher.
that the thinking? What if he was really just telling the truth?
He wasn't. There are people that want to be on reality TV. They're not.
Okay. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I also have another question. So, like, because you've worked your way up and everything, how do you go from being a production assistant to, do you create your own opportunities, or other people help you create those opportunities, or?
Usually people ask, like, when you're PAing on something, if they have some downtime, they're like, so what do you want to get into? Like, what part of this stuff? And then you kind of PA to see how everything works and then what parts you want to get into. So you'll like, oh, well, I kind of like camera work. I want to get into that. And then they'll, okay, we'll put you in as like a tech PA and then
Really?
and then into assistant camera and into camera, or this or that. Or if you want to go into post-production, then okay, we'll move you to a post PA. Then from a post PA, you can move to like tape librarian or, organizer, DIT, into like assistant editor and editing. And
So they all teach you that. Once you're in, you're in. And if you can navigate
If they like you, they like your
person.
personality, they'll help you out. Sometimes they don't like you and they'll try to ruin your career before it even starts.
What do you think are some of the key factors that people would like or dislike about someone? Have you seen that somebody was being genuine or their authentic self and people just didn't like them? And
Yeah.
really?
Happened to me a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what? Like what would happen? What would they do to you? I mean, thank God they didn't end your career and you're able to still work and make a living. I don't think that anybody should try to stop somebody from making a living. If you have a disagreement with somebody on a project or whatever, either you suck it up and finish the job, or if you can't do that, then, that's one thing. But don't stop someone from continuing on to
That's
make a
usually
living.
like egos. So it's not, when you're dealing with egos, there's usually not any way to sort it out.
How do you deal with an ego, and how do you know that it's an ego you're dealing with?
Well, it's mostly when someone who doesn't know how to do your job is telling you how to do your job. It's usually an ego thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's usually about it. I know I literally got into post-production because too many people were like smoking meth around me.
What?
Like I had a boss and he like just got out of prison and I don't know why he was my boss, but he was. And then he'd make me drive him in the cast car to he was like, oh, we're going to go to the storage facility and get some fans because it's hot in the house. And we'd go to the storage facility and I was like, we're going to go in? It's like, no, we got to wait here for a minute. And then this dirty yellow Datsun pulled up with this Mickey Rourke looking guy in a leather vest and pops out of the car. He hands him a wad of money. He hands him a wad of tinfoil. And then we go inside and I'm looking around for fans and the guy's blowing meth clouds and check it out. And then he's like, you want a flat screen TV? And I'm like, nope.
He was stealing the stuff?
I'm pretty sure.
Never trust a man in a leather vest.
Yeah. So then,
Mickey Rourke and a yellow Datsun. Wow.
so like a week or two later, I had an opportunity to go into post-production, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go into post-production, because that kind of sketched me out on a lot of stuff. Like, I didn't really want to keep working with them.
And this guy was, what was his? I know he was a manager, but what did he do? Or what area you weren't in editing? You were in.
It was in production. It was just a production, not a production manager, but just like a production supervisor. Like, he was like in charge of the PAs or something like that.
How do you even get a job like that?
It's who you know. It's all who you know. Like, I got in because of my buddy. My buddy was the tech PA on that, and you could only work 5 days. So the other 2 days, I was the tech PA, because I was like one of the only people you could really trust.
And the tech PA does what?
You just take the files from that are shot with the cameras, and then you just run through them, and you make sure that there's no defects or anything like that, that the picture and the sound quality is all there. And then any notes, you write down notes and send them to post-production with that.
So there's so many different layers within the filming. So there's you film it, you're the camera person, then somebody has to look through the footage to make sure it was good. Mm-hmm. It's like the dailies or something like that. You have people checking the sound, not the person who's doing the sound, to make sure everything is good. Then it goes to the editor, and then you do all of that stuff. Wow. I was thinking that one person does it and then just give it to the next person, but there's layers in between to make sure that everything is...
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be that way, but, you know, depending on budgets and stuff like that, there's some of those things are taken out. Mm-hmm. Like, it might just go straight from the cameraman to post-production and then find out, oh, you shot it all in slow-mo. Thanks.
Oh, really? So now what happens in a case like that? And everything is on slow. You have to reshoot everything all over?
Nope. You have to fix it.
How do you fix it if it's already shot? Especially in
edit,
slow
manipulate. You can speed up footage
to make it.
Yeah, the quality goes down, but it's not completely lost. Like, it happens a lot, especially when you're going back and forth, that they'll forget to switch.
Can the viewers tell?
Probably not.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good then. I didn't know. I thought if you shot something and you messed up, all right, everybody, we got to do it one more time. But you can speed it up and it doesn't look weird or anything like that. Like you said, you lose quality, but
yeah, you lose
still
quality,
salvageable.
But everything's, no matter, it's like everything loses quality once you get it up to like the broadcast standard.
Okay.
Especially.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there something in post that you ran across where you can't fix it, where it's just, no, this is really, truly a loss now? Or have you guys been able to fix pretty much everything?
I mean, I've ran across those things. They are fixable, but by the time I got to them, like, I worked on a show last year, and sometimes the cameraman will pull the card before the file is finished being made.
Oh.
And then you get a corrupt file, and you can get that file back if you still have the card, and you can put it back in the camera and let it finish making the file. But if you find out about 3 months later and they've already cleared that card and everyone's moved on, then no, you're not going to have that second camera.
All it takes is an extra minute of patience, and you won't ruin.
Exactly.
Okay. So you got production, you have post-production, you do editing, you've done the line, all of that stuff. What do you like the most? What part of it?
I guess I don't know. I like being, because I first got into post-production thinking that, let me go into post-production, and then when I go back into production, I'll be better because I'll know
what you're looking for and what to do. Okay, all right, let's make this more efficient,
But the more that I did it, especially in reality, it was just like the more I just hated everyone in production, because I just spent all my time fixing mistakes, and they're getting paid more money, and they're just like, we could do no wrong. And it's like, because no one gives you feedback. You're already off the job before we find your mistakes, So
And so you would try to go and talk to them and say, hey, well, this is going to be an issue if you do this, and it wasn't received well.
no, they don't let you talk directly to people. So it's kind of like, it's usually like, just fix it. We don't care.
On the set, they don't let you talk to the other production or crew members?
I'm usually not on set. So it's usually, by the time we get it, it's usually at least a few days, if not a week or two.
Have you ever heard of somebody in production that's been apprehended at least for, or do they always get away when they
I have
screw up?
no idea.
Oh, really?
No
Oh,
idea. I know I mess with my friend. He's won Emmys, but I'll send him I always send him this meme of the monkey holding a camera.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But
You can
he
do your
also,
job.
yeah, but he also doesn't ask me to work on that show. So maybe.
So now you're doing these shows, all of these things are happening. But how did you land Ridiculous? Because seemed like that's a major.
Ridiculousness?
Right.
Oh, my good friend that I met right before I left one company, I left one company because I don't know, they just didn't like me. I don't know. I tried to work really hard and not show that I had a personality. It's just kind of like I didn't want people to think I was goofy. So I just worked really hard and I just kept my nose to the grindstone. But because I did that, people didn't like me. So
It wasn't relatable. You couldn't.
yeah, I was like a scapegoat for everybody. So too much stuff got scapegoated on me, and they let me go from there. But it was a terrible company. So I left, and then I guess I met him. I met my friend Matt working there, and then he like a couple months later, they sent out an email saying, "Hey, these are the people that are going to be moving on to the next season." And they sent him the email, but his name wasn't on it. And he's like, "Hey, you sent me this, but my name's on it." And I'm like, "Well, I guess you're not moving on to the next season." And he got PO'd about that. So his reckoning was that he was going to poach the best person that he thought worked there. So he poached me, even though I was already like out and blacklisted from that company, basically. So he got me a job working with him, and we worked on a show together. And then it helped me get my career back together, and I was able to like start finding work for myself from that. And then after like a couple of years, he basically did all the ridiculousness stuff. Like they hired him to be the lead assistant editor on that show the first season. Mm-hmm. And he did a lot of stuff because they didn't have a budget. So he was like, I think he created their whole intro. He created all this different stuff. He edited 2 or 3 episodes without getting paid for it, and all the stuff to help them out. And then he made a deal with them saying that if I edit these episodes that you're not going to pay me editor pay for, you're going to make me an editor if it gets picked up for the second season. And I don't think they anticipated it getting picked up for a second season, even though it's on season like 25 now.
Yeah. I just learned about it not too long ago. It's a funny show.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, just see the stuff, the little accidents or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, I could laugh on YouTube too.
that is true. They just rely on nothing but YouTube stuff. Yeah. That's
is
their
it
whole
YouTube?
They don't even have to write. It seems like.
So that's what they do. They go and pick up the stuff from YouTube and then have the talent talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then so he did that. They hired him, and then he brought me in to replace him so they could promote him to editor. Mm-hmm. And I think they begrudgingly promoted him to editor and let him do a season, like season 2. And then season 3, they fired him just because they didn't like him, or he won too much money gambling against the boss.
Wow. So that's hard because you now moving up and trying to make a name for yourself, but you got somebody that's like, let's give them that, and then we're going to cut them. So it's almost better to, with longevity, kind of suck it up and kind of take what they're giving, but you can't really win that way.
Well, I thought I would do good with that company. I thought, because I used to watch those shows, and I thought it was like, oh, I'm a funny guy. I can be with, do this stuff like that. But then once I got in there, it's like everyone took everything I said completely seriously, even when I was completely joking. And I was like, is this a comedy show? I don't really understand what's going on.
So they didn't take jokes very well.
No, I don't know. It was just weird. It was one of those things that I thought you get what you ask for, and it's the one thing that you shouldn't have type thing, you know.
Wow, that's interesting. Go deeper with that, because most people, once they reach the pinnacle of their dream job or whatever, everything is going to be just amazing and great. But you get there and you're doing what you want to do, and it's not at all what you think.
No.
What was that like?
It's kind of disheartening, like in a way, like they needed me there because I did a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it was like I could tell like nobody liked me, you know. And in this business,
why did you feel that? How did you? Yeah, I don't want to cut you off. So go ahead. In this business,
you make friends when you're working, and you're like, oh, this is my friend, we're working, and then as soon as the job ends, you go to another job, and you probably never talk to that person again. They'll be like on your Facebook friends forever, and you might run across them some other day or something like that. But it's like, yeah, it's not so much for making friends and those types of things.
But isn't that the way to kind of, you would think, you make friends on different jobs because you never know. Something may come up, they may call you, or you may have something. It seems a little weird to not be able to make friends and network when that is the one thing that everybody tells you to do, to network, to make friends, to try to make things happen. It seems like it's the very opposite in the heart of the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I rub people the wrong way on that stuff, but because I take my job seriously. I really like doing it, and there's a lot of people that like the pay, but they don't like actually know how to do the job, and then it hurts other people's pay that know how to do it, because then our pay goes down because they got to make sure they're not getting scammed.
And that's the hard part. I've been there before, and you hire somebody to do a job, and they just took the money and didn't do anything. And so the next person, you're like, nah, it's hard to go.
And they still get to put that on their resume. I did a couple jobs that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that I wouldn't say that I was trying to scam. It was one of those like fake it till you make it type things. But there was one job I did, because when I first came up, they only showed me how to do a certain part of my job using a program. And it was this thing called Quick Keys. So I could only do this with Quick Keys because I didn't know how to do it without. So when I went to another job, I grouped the whole show with Quick Keys. And then a couple months later, they're like, you messed this stuff up. You need to fix it. And I was like, oh, I already put a free trial on every computer in the building. And I don't know as much about computers to take it off, to redo it and stuff. So then I just kind of taught myself that night how to do it. And I was like, oh, this is easy.
Now, how'd you teach yourself? Because that's one thing, I don't know, a lot of people say that, fake it till you make it, or do that. And I don't really do that. I don't like to do that because, for me personally, I want to know in and out everything before I'm trying to get paid for something. And then if I don't know how to do it, if I fumble, just like I paid people to do stuff that don't know how to do it, it was the most frustrating thing. So I always look at it from the eyes of the employer who's looking to hire me. Make sure I know how to do my job. Or, just like they say, being on time is to be early. To be on time is to be late. And a lot of people fake it till they make it, or try to do YouTube and all these other things. How do you even get the opportunity to get in the job if you haven't really fully understand how to do it yet? Because there's a lot of people getting jobs that don't know how to do it and faking it until they make it. And then once you get in, you go beyond the veil. You're like, oh man, I don't know how to do it. You know what I know. I'm paying you to. That's frustrating. Yeah. So, but how do you get the opportunities to be able to do that?
Well, that was kind of some networking where I was basically taking rejected jobs. So there would be some editors that I worked with that were still getting offered assistant editor jobs, and they were rejecting those jobs. But when they were telling the person, hey, I don't want to do this, but I know this guy, Justin, he'll do it. And then I get on their radar, interview with them, and then I get the job. And I might not know everything that they know, but I'm learning as I'm going type thing. And people know. Like the girl I worked with, she was like, "You learned a lot here." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I think that's important in any industry. I think you even when you get a new job and everything, you got to still be learning some new stuff. You can't know everything when you get onto that job. You know, they can't be expecting you to know everything, especially if you're new to what that is. You know.
Yeah, very true. I think that's the hardest part for me in moving forward. I want to know everything beforehand because you don't want to feel stupid or, But with every job, I've worked for these casinos or a blackjack dealer and all these things or front desk, and they come and they teach you the culture and they teach you how to operate their system. Every system is different, so I guess you have to apply the same thing, but for some reason I was thinking it was different when it applies to something that you want to do, your dreams or Hollywood. You have to know already. And it's not the case.
Yeah.
So how do you make it in the door? You just go and knock on the door, or like you said, audition or try to send in your tape?
That stuff I don't know. Like with production jobs and stuff like that, it's basically just get on as a PA and then work your way up and figure out.
Is it easy to get on as a PA?
It's pretty easy to get on as a PA for the most part.
PA is doing what, so that people don't understand what that
production assistant. So anything that other people don't want to do. So it might be just driving. It might be going to the store and buying snacks to fill
That's
out.
it.
Or cleaning or this or that. It's just different odd things. Like I PA'd on the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race, and they had no money, and I was just a PA, but the other two PAs both worked art department, so they were more valuable PAs. So when the budget got cut, I got cut. They stayed because they could do more things than I could.
Like what things you have to do? I know you said driving, the little things that they don't want to do or whatever, but is there any skills, out there that you would need as a PA?
Well, I thought everything that I did leading up to being a PA was kind of perfect because I was a courier for 6 months or so. So that got me like delivering things, driving things, and that's a lot of delivery and driving and PAing. And then I worked at TSA looking at screens and looking for anomalies and footage,
so
like
you're
weapons and bags. And then I took that into like when I'm QCing videos, I'm like, okay, I think I have a finer eye for QCing things from this experience and, just things like that.
So you think they look at that when you put your resume to be a PA or whatever it is you're trying to do in Hollywood, they'll look and they can see the qualifications that you have and how they can apply to being a PA or getting in, because now you're editor. Yeah. You can do all of these things, but getting in, how does that necessarily accumulate?
PAing is like not, I don't even think you even need a resume to be a PA. It's like literally a warm body. That's literally it. Like, and then they assess you. Then they assess you from that, like how much abuse you can take, if you're entertaining, if you can do this or that. You might already have some skills like editing skills from different software or something like that, maybe, and then move around from there. But pretty much like that.
Okay, very cool. Actually, I had a question, but going back to the beginning, but I think you've answered it. The question that I had was like, what wakes you up in the morning? What gets you motivated to still do this after all these years? But in my mind, I keep hitting this thing. I'm like playing hard. I tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you the answer that's in my head. It's like, don't ask that question because I'm hearing an answer, but I want to hear what you have to say. What gets you up and what gets you excited about doing this after all these years?
It feels like I do what I get paid to do a bit more begrudgingly. That the stuff that I get probably paid less to do, I like to do more because I actually am trusted and I get to be creative and I get to be myself and I don't have to, get paid the least amount of money to be the smartest person in the room type thing. And, but just that, that it can lead to something else, possibly, is what gets me going. It's like, oh, I can actually like try to be myself more when I work, and then it establishes better relationships and different things like that, as opposed to trying to pretend I'm someone else to make people happy to do the job that I'm doing.
Do you still feel that way? Like you're trying to be someone else to make other people happy? Or do you think that you're more in your own skin now?
Definitely more on my own skin now, where I don't really care what other people think. And if they don't want me to work there because of some personality thing, then I don't want to work there either.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. The answer I had in my head was the money. Like what?
Yeah,
what
I thought that too.
What
like
gets you motivated to go? Hey, the money. How are you able to navigate your price on going up on jobs from where you started to where you are now? I know that comes with knowing the job and having all of these, titles under your belt and doing it for all these years. But how do you continue to go up the pay scale? Like, okay, last time I got paid $2,000 for this. This time I want to get. Do you go up in increments like $500 each time, or?
No, in mine it's like with ours, it's because of the people that like the pay, which I'm always telling people if someone's an assistant editor and they like the pay, then they're probably not good at it. Because those of us that do know how to do it, the pay is too low for everything we're expected to do and everything that
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're just happy to get it.
If they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great, I'll take anything I can get. Like, then you probably don't know what you're doing.
Okay, all right, gotcha. And I have one more question. I have something new that I want to do, but what's next for you? Where do you see yourself in the next? But where do you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years, and how do you plan to get there?
I'd like to see myself actually creating things and actually spending my downtime like writing and trying to create my own things as opposed to just helping other people make their things or helping other people make their stuff. So I'd like to be more independent on that, to where I can, actually stop procrastinating and write stuff down and write scripts and try to.
How close are you to actually bringing that into fruition and manifesting that? I know you have like wild games that you've just done. Is there, what's the next step? That's it? Just producing and writing more? Are you on the road there now? Are you carving out more time?
Not at the moment, but I'm trying to get myself into a happy place to be able to do that. So it might be like moving out of the state, moving someplace else where the cost of living isn't as high, and then most of the stuff that I can do remotely. So
you want to leave LA?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. It's way too high now.
No, it's just like being a tiny fish in a giant pond, as opposed to being a medium-sized fish in a smaller pond. I could probably do more higher-end work, like producer work or editor work, and if I'm trying to do that in LA, I don't have the resume there to do it. But
where's that pond? Because I think everybody is looking to try to do that with entertainment. Because I was wrestling with leaving Vegas and trying to go to LA. It's expensive. Don't know anyone. You're at the place now where you can continue to edit and be remote and do whatever. What is the city that you think would best suit you, where you can still do what you do, but have a better quality of life, cost of living?
I think here, Las Vegas would be really good for me. And then I also think like Houston, Texas.
Really?
It's good because they actually have like a theater scene there, like the Alley and stuff like that. So I could actually like do plays and stuff like that up there, or at least audition for stuff possibly. But it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like when I was in high school, I went to a 4A high school, and then I had to go to a 5A high school. And at the 4A high school, I was in band, I was in theater, I played tennis. I wanted to try out for the baseball team. I wasn't going to make it, but at least I was going to try out. But then when I went to the 5A school, Emerald High, they're like, you can only do one thing. So pick it, band or theater. I was like, I'm going to do both. And then the whole time, the theater director wouldn't give me parts until I quit band. And I wasn't going to quit doing music. And then obviously couldn't play tennis, obviously couldn't do anything else there.
Do you think that was a valuable lesson? Picking just one thing, because I'm hearing that as a comedy. Because I'm a singer. I've done 2 albums. A stand-up comedian, a talk show host, and a podcast. I have a television streaming network, or what I've been trying to figure out. What can I thrive at? Everybody's saying pick one. I have mentors. And it's like just pick one and focus everything on that.
No, I don't think that was good. Like, it wasn't good for me. Like my last 3 years of high school were actually pretty terrible because they were forcing me to pick one. You know, because I'm not one thing, and you're not one thing. So telling you to focus on one thing is, you know.
I think they were saying that to say that in a matter of manifesting your dreams. You have to put all your attention and focus on one thing to make one thing happen. And then after that, once you accomplish that, then you can go on to the next thing. But to try to focus on one, because I've been trying to do this for a while, and I have small success in little things, but you can't do everything at the same time. So it's like pick one with all your heart and mind and go after it, and then you can focus on other things. It may not happen for everybody. That's just what I'm hearing. So when you said that, it's like, oh, that's why I was asking, do you think it was beneficial? But for you, the answer is no.
I think that like one thing feeds off of another thing sometimes too. Like when you're doing, it's like if you're doing shooting, you know, if you're editing, it helps with your shooting. If you're, you know, and all that type of stuff. So sometimes doing more than one thing, I feel like can feed the other things and make them even better. Sometimes, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't do music stuff, I wouldn't be as good of an editor.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who don't edit just because they can't do the music stuff.
So you add the music into you finish everything. You take the acting, put the pieces together, take the music, put that in there, control the vibes and the sounds. Okay.
Yeah, mix it, do all that stuff. Yeah, I like it. It's cool because it's like, I don't know. That's when I was like really into acting right after I got out of the Marines, doing music all the time, that I like kind of made my acting style based around reading music. So when I would read a script, as I was reading a piece of music. So I'd mark it up, like crescendo, decrescendo. Okay, go soft here, do this there. And I'd mark that up on my script. And that's kind of what became my style. So then when I went in, kept having to go into places where it's like a professor or a teacher or something that's trying to change your style. I'm like, I think my style really works well for me for using that, you know, basically music, reading music and performing music is my style of acting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that, how you've able to tie that in. And then even at the end of where you are now, you've obtained your success. You're actually going back to the beginning again and starting and reinventing yourself, especially if you were to move back from LA and do more plays, and then you have more control over being able to produce and do the things you love, and that's amazing. That's good. So that's what. How near in the future you think, maybe 5 or 10 years, you're going to be going back and going back to your roots, or?
No, I think it's going to be sooner than that. I think it's something that's just kind of happening now. I'm still doing the stuff that I'm doing that pays the bills, but I'm figuring out ways to do it like remotely, and maybe I will not working to my full potential where, okay, I can do these things, but if I just work at night and do this, it's something that I know how to do faster than other people. So it increases my hourly pay and less, and then it gives me more time to do creative stuff and put together those things.
Okay, what system are you editing on, and what did you learn on? Was it the? Because I went to film school, I was editing on a flatbed, and then Avid came, and I was just like, and got out of it.
Yeah.
So what system are you usually doing?
Cal State LA, I was trained on like Final Cut 5.
Okay.
And then when I started working in TV, like a year and a half later, everything was Avid. And that's pretty much all I've been working on is Avid. And then with Maddie, I work Final Cut X with him. That way, we're using the same platform because that's what he edits on, and it's more user friendly than having him have to learn Avid.
And a lot of
That's very, very true. That is very, very true.
Avid is a little difficult.
Yeah, it's just one of those like, and I never, I'm not trained on Avid. I've just used Avid, and that's all I've used for like 15, 16 years. And so even going back to Final Cut, I'm like, I don't know how to do this, but I'll call Maddie, or I'll call one of my other friends that edits with that, or I got like a little cheat sheet with the shortcuts on it and stuff like that, and like an overlay of my keyboard and stuff like that. But,
okay, very cool. I'm so glad that you came and to do the show. It was just an amazing time. You've gave us so much to think about, and anybody who watch will be able to just follow the blueprint. I think that I've asked some questions that will make people think about what to do and how the choices that you made, and to bring a little bit more clearer understanding to the process and how to navigate your way into production.
Yeah. Or just fall into it.
How do you fall into it?
I mean, that's what I did. I needed to make money, and I fell into it basically. And then, but it was like, my friend was like, okay, out of all the people that I've given jobs to, you're the only one that took that job and then went after other jobs. He's like, everyone else I got a job with just called me next week and wants me to get them another job, wants me to do the work all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like they teach you how to fish so you can go on your own instead
of
calling them. Now, what did he teach you that you were able to go and get on your own? Just making the relationships or talking to the head person in production to get another job?
I don't know. It was kind of funny because he would be like, okay, when he trained me to do like a tech PA thing, he was like, look at the clips, and if you see anything anomalies, then write down the time code and put it in this email and send it to the post supervisor. And I'm like, I don't have a laptop. And he was like, oh, well, I don't know what you're going to do then. And it was before, the
texting and all
for the cell phone computers, just before. So I didn't know what to do. So what I did actually was I'd watch the tapes, and everything always looked fine to me. So I just wrote down the time codes to where the nudity was. And I sent that to post directly, and never sent an email to the post supervisor or anything like that. I would just, when they came to pick up the tapes, there's a piece of paper and it had what tape and what time code the nudity was on. And then when the post PA job came up, they're like, we want that guy because he knows what we're looking for.
Okay.
And that's how I moved into post-production.
Going that extra mile.
Common sense, yeah. And they know, okay, wow, this is here. You don't have to search for an email or things get lost. And
then I talked to the post supervisor, and I talked to her one day, and that guy that gave me the job, and he was like, going to come shoot. And I told her, it's like, hey, Jake's going to be here. She was like, who's Jake? I'm like, he sent you an email like every week during production. She's like, I never read those.
Wow. So it makes sense. You put the notes on that. Yeah, because they're not going to go and look back at it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That's so bright. And it brings me to a poem with everything that you're talking about, and even how you've done your career so far and where you want to go. It's a poem by Benjamin E. Mays, and it's called 1 Minute. And it goes, we only have 1 minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon us, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to us how we use it. We must suffer if we lose it, give an account if we abuse it. All we have is just one tiny little minute, 60 seconds is in it, but eternity is in it. And you've learned how to navigate through life to manifest the dreams and the life that you want. And you're still on your journey making it happen in this minute. So many people lose this minute and die without their dreams or their purpose fulfilled. And I just want to say congratulations to you for doing it. I thought that was definitely something that was meaningful. Yeah. And I just appreciate you. This is like a masterclass on how did you accomplish your dreams and the things that you're doing. Over 95 titles, you're still going, and you haven't given up yet to control and to conform the life that you want to live, and you have a plan. So I say well done here. That's the cat. Man, I just got pussy all over the place. Hey,
she's our mascot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a black cat. The black pussy. I'm just playing. I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you for doing the show, everybody. Mr. Justin Sutton, amazing, and I definitely look forward to seeing what you do in the future, and hopefully we can work together on something. You're talking about doing plays. I've done plays in New York City and the Jersey Shore. Oh, nice. And
I worked on Jersey Shore.
Did you really?
Uh-huh.
Actually, yeah, I did see that. That was 2006, 7, right? Or 9?
9, yeah.
2009. That's funny because I was born and raised there.
Yeah.
And I used to do modeling promotions for the little clubs.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to see them sometimes. I never met them, but we'd be in the same places. I used to do promotions for Parliament Lights.
Yeah.
We used to do the surveys, and then we'd give the people the little the beach towels. It was like a hockey puck, and you put it in water, and it dissolves and becomes this big beach towel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've done promotions for Dr. Scholl's. So
that's cool. Yeah, that was a fun one. That was the last show I worked on for that company. But I don't think I was even in the credits or anything like that, because I was working on 6 shows at the same time when I worked on.
So those companies, what are those companies called? And we're going to end with that. What are those companies? When you say work for those companies, they're editing companies? Is it production companies? And how did you find them?
Production company. It was like 495 Productions.
How do you know what companies are actually doing work, or you don't? You just call and say, do you have anything? Or
no, I usually get calls, like people. I get my last 2 jobs was a email offer of a position, and then my current job was they called me last week and asked me to come in and help finish their show.
Okay.
So it was like I don't really apply to much.
Like, you're in the system now.
It's usually like it's like a referrals and reputation and stuff like that.
But back during that time, the Jersey Shore and all of that, how you had to call them and get on their radar, or what?
Well, I'd already been working for that company for a couple of years when that came up, and when I got let go from them, I had nothing. I was basically I was contemplating leaving LA and moving to Colorado. My wife, who I was dating then, I was like, do you want to move to Colorado, or are you going to stay here? And she probably would have stayed because she does not like snow.
Okay.
And but then this other job came up, and it kind of helped me get my career. And then ever since, it was only like 3 months. I think I just worked on a movie that some friends were making and didn't get paid for. And then I did. Then my buddy got me on this show called Mall Cops, Mall of America.
Okay.
And we worked on that, and he just, I don't know. We became really good friends. We're still really good friends. He moved up to Washington State, but he still edits, and we did a great show together, Gunny Time, with Arlie Ermy on almost on some channel, but we just shot a bunch of guns in the desert, and that was probably the funnest because we actually were producing and editing together on that, and it was just the two of us doing it, and I think we did like 10 episodes in like 12 weeks.
Wow, okay.
And 2 years in a row. And then the second year, I actually got to go out to Arizona and produce on site. Then I got to shoot all the guns because I was in the Marines.
Very cool. Last question. So, they're calling you now. For somebody trying to start now in the industry, like let's use myself for example. I'm in I'm in Vegas. I've done a few shows, production and stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I were to move to LA and I wanted to try to get into the business, production or something, or Atlanta or Texas, how do I get involved? Where do you start? New to the city, don't know anything.
Well, there are some websites that are helpful. There's one that I would use. I haven't used it in a few years, but it was called staffmeup.com. Mm-hmm. And it's free for like I think it's like free for like $5 a month, but $5 that you can send your resume in for jobs. But it covers from PA all the way to like executive producer, like the job openings across the city, and not even just across the city, but across the country. And so I've gone on there, and then I make a resume on that site, and then I've submitted that resume and gotten jobs through that.
And there's other sites like
and there's
that.
Other ones. Mm-hmm.
So if you were to Google it, what would you Google? Production job,
production jobs, Los Angeles, and that might come up with like 2 or 3 different things. There's also some like free, like what's it called, Mandy, or
Mandy.
There's like free. It's like a free software thing, so you can learn Avid, you can learn stuff without.
Oh, okay, cool.
Backstage.com is
Backstage.com, yeah, you can find work on that. So
okay, I was thinking when you said that, Mandy, I thought it was like the dating sites like Ashley Madison.
Right.
And then he said backstage. I was thinking back page, and I was like, oh, y'all getting some freaky movies down. We go
backdoor.com.
Yeah, that's what's it? Fans only, OnlyFans, or whatever that site is.
OnlyFans, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know I'm out, but I thought that's what you
right.
You start in porn like Mark Wahlberg, and then you go from there.
That's how you make your money, man.
You get your boogie nights.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever you got to do. Everything is like that now on Instagram. That's all you see.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm embarrassed to look at my feed in public because it's just all ass. It's just, I'm like, there's some good stuff happening in here somewhere.
Right.
Oh, I'm the same way. My backside's built like a Lego figure.
Oh, that's hilarious. But thank you so much, Justin. It was amazing talking with you. Continued success. I wish you nothing but the best here at Words Matter. We just all about positivity, send you love, good energy, and we want all the possibilities that you can hold and have and make the most of in your career from here. That's what this is, and the reason why it's called Word Matters is because it starts with an idea, and then as you speak it, it becomes and you have to believe it, and so it starts with a word. It starts with an idea. And you have to be mindful of what you say because you can't take it back, and it's creating things. So that's why it's called Word Matters. But I thank you so much for your words today and sharing them with everybody. I know it will help people and or spark the interest of the next thought, in the next generation. So that's what we're doing. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And
can I have this, John?
Can go ahead and lean in.
See, he said, can he have your job?
Yeah, you can have it.
Sweet. All right.
All right, everybody, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching Words Matter. I'm John Maurice, your host, and I'll see you next time. Love always. I'm John Maurice. Peace. Words Matter with John Maurice.